And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live Antwood Movie Mania. And the reason we are live is because it is interview time. Now, my special guest today has been in the world of theatre. He has won multiple awards with Best and Leading Actor, among others. Has starred in multiple films such as The Lurking Man, The Circle, and a fan favourite, maxxxine. So, which we are going to get to talk about so much more when we get into it. So, I would like to welcome to the channel Dan Lench.
Hi, how y'all doing? It's really great to be here, Ant. I really appreciate you bringing me in. So, reaching out and finding me.
Yeah, look, first off, I just want to say, I know I've just said it there, but I just want to say a big thank you for coming on. It always means a lot to me that people such as yourself and like other people get a chance to come on here to talk to like a small channel like myself. And I love to hear like stories about people's careers and everything. So I just want to say a big thank you again for coming on.
My honor, my pleasure.
So my first question of the day is, how's your day going?
You know what? It's been really nice. We're done with a lot of the wet that we've had here for the past couple months, and it's all sunny and pretty here in Los Angeles. North Hollywood specifically is the area where I'm in. So it's been lovely, and my day with my wife and kids and my dog, wonderful.
What are your plans? Because obviously the time difference here, it's 8 o'clock there and it's 12. What are your plans for the rest of the day?
Honestly, this is it. I've got a meeting with a producer, writer, director that I'm working with. I have a short film that I'm co-producing and starring in called It's For You that's coming up. Should be shooting that in March. Matter of fact, I'm shooting 2 short films in March, back-to-back weekends. So yeah, that's it. That's it for my day. And then hanging out with my fam.
All right, that sounds like a good day to me.
My adult children are amazing, both of them. So it's a really pleasure to hang with them.
All right, fair enough. Right, so take us back a little bit. Growing up, did you always want to be an actor, or did you want to do something else like as you were growing up?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, boy, I started pretty young. I seem to remember when I was about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years old. I got a jet plane. I'm near the airport here. 6 or 7 years old, I was in a pizza joint with my dad, and I was dressed up in a cowboy outfit, and there was a commercial running around at that time with a cowboy, and I was enamored. So the guy, saw me and said, "Put him up." And I said, "What's your name, stranger?" "Strange Aroma." And I shot at him, and he shot me, and I did a death scene for like 10 minutes, So I think that might have been an indication. Then when I was in my 12 to early teens, I joined the theater company. It was called the Teenage Drama Workshop. Started really studying my craft, children's theater in a large, huge auditorium, huge theater at Cal State Northridge. Well, then it was San Fernando Valley State College here in the San Fernando Valley. So I got good training there, good stage training just to start. Yeah, and from then on, I was absolutely hooked.
All right, okay. I'd seen as I was looking through some of your posts, I'd seen a throwback picture of you posting yourself in college, of being in Taming of the Shrew, saying
That's
one one of your favorite performances. Can you tell us why it was like one of your favorite performances?
I will. I absolutely will. I was about to mute because of the jet again. Taming of the Shrew in college. It was directed by a friend named David Rodich, who was just a wonderful director. We did it in a theater of the round. He built the stage. His whole concept of the show was that it was all about one-upmanship, which I think fits beautifully. And he built a sport arena. He built a boxing ring with a climbing rope and a basketball hoop on one end. And I think the Irene Silbert, who was the wonderful Shakespearean actress, even back then, played Kate, and we just had such a great connection. My favorite monologue I've ever done came from that, because what David had me do was he had me walk around the entire. It was the end of I think it's beginning of Act 3. I can't remember where exactly, but it's the long monologue where Petruchio talks about, this is how I tamed the shrew. And he had me walk around the entire stage, so I'm walking around looking at the audience, carrying a can of Old English 800, which is an ale that we had out here, and said big on Old English 800. And I'm shaking it up as I'm walking around the stage, talking about how I'm going to tame the shrew. Ended up at the head of the stage, put it down near my crotch. And as I said, and this is how you tame a shrew, opened it up so this stream of foam went shooting out from my crotch. And it's probably my favorite moment in theater film ever of any, because the audience was just, they couldn't stop. So that's why I love that show and that performance.
Okay. I'd read a story about you being a waiter and then having to rush to an audition. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. It was an amazing day. I was waiting table at a little patio restaurant, serving a couple outside. The guy said, "Hey, are you an actor?" I said, "Yeah, it kind of shows." He goes, "Yeah, are you represented?" I said, "No." He said, "When's your shift end?" I said, 4 p.m. He said, "Would you go on an audition for me for a commercial?" And I went, "Okay, yeah, sure, but I'm wearing my waiter's clothes. They're stained and stuff." He said, "No, you're perfect." So he said, tell him Woody sent you. So I went to this audition. And I said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I came straight from my waiting tables." They said, "You're perfect." I landed a national commercial. I got what we call Taft-Hartley'd into the Screen Actors Guild, which is they write a letter saying he's not union, but we want him in the union, which allowed me to join the union. I got an agent, so and the national commercial ran during the Super Bowl, wild spotted during the Super Bowl, made me a good chunk of money. So I got an agent, my Screen Actors Guild, joining the Screen Actors Guild, and a national commercial all in that one day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's truly one of those Hollywood stories that you think, God, it's got to be made up, but I swear to God, it's true.
Well, that's a lot to happen in one day.
It was an amazing day. It was like one of those days where you just shake your head and go, I can't believe this is happening.
Going into theatre, like I'd be a nervous wreck. Like, how do you keep so calm? Because doing a film, you get to do multiple takes and everything like that. But when you're on stage and it's live and you don't want to make a mistake, like, how do you keep so calm?
Well, first of all, because it is live and you do so many performances of a production in live, you will make mistakes. You absolutely, there's no question about it. But sometimes some of the great stuff comes out of those mistakes. So you don't shy away from those or worry about those. You can't, because that's sometimes where the magic happens. Recently in a show I did on stage, one of the actors fell back on a couch, which knocked the lamp off the table and smashed it to pieces. Now, somebody who doesn't have the stage experience I have, and that's significant, would have probably, freaked out or, tried to ignore it or pretend it didn't happen. You don't do that. Instead, you stay in character and you say, "Oh, don't worry about that. It's cheap. We got it later." And you just pick it up and you go on with the scene. And an audience who sees that knows that that's not an accident, or presumes it's a real accident that's just happened. And they know there's something magic in that thing that happens where an audience knows, "Oh my God, something bizarre just happened, something tragic, and this man turned it into gold." So, and as far as, again, theater, I've been fortunate enough to play roles like Petruchio, Salieri in Amadeus, Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Roy Jessup in A Few Good Men, Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. I've been given the opportunity to study my craft on theater with some very, very big roles. And so, I must admit, the stage is certainly one of my favorite mediums. I love film too, don't get me wrong. But you're right, in film, you have a chance to do it over and over and over again.
Just picking up what you said there about playing Jessup in A Few Good Men. For me, that film, it's just one of them films where if it came out today, it'd still be that powerhouse of a film.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. It's a powerhouse of the writing is on the money, and it still holds true today. And the character Jessup is He's a great. I hesitate to use the word villain because he's not really a villain. He just has his very specific point of view, and he believes that you do need him up out there on that wall. And a chance to play a role like that and make it your own, not try to imitate, Jack Nicholson, but to not try to imitate Gregory Peck if you're doing Atticus Finch. They'll find a way to make it true to yourself, to find that truth in you that fills that character. As wonderful opportunities.
Just sticking on that for a sec, how did it feel to have to deliver that "you can't handle the truth" line?
It felt great. It felt amazing. I found my own way to say it, and every night it was a little bit different because every night is new.
Yeah, it's just.
And although you talk about mistakes, there was one line, for whatever reason, and the rest of the cast teased me mercilessly. I just could never quite get it to come out of my mouth right. It was you can't send a kid it's like sending a kid into the jungle with a backpack or something like that. And I never got that line right. I think I got it right on 2 or 3 of the shows, but mostly I would just jumble it up and get it wrong, and they'd all just stare at me and laugh.
Yeah, I think when that film came out, it's such an iconic line. Everyone, whoever watches it, loves to say that "you can't handle the truth."
Oh, sure, of course you can. Yeah, of course. Or "you need me on that wall." Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a film that you can just watch over and over and still get it be enthralled by it. So yeah. Doing with a family business and Cannibal the Musical.
That's funny. A Family Business is the one I was just talking about, where the actor knocked over the lamp. Anyway, go on. And Cannibal the Musical, which was directed by my amazing director daughter, Dan Lench.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here, right? To find things out.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's why I love doing these. When I interview people, that's what I love to find out, because when you go to horror cons and other comic cons and everything like that, when you go to meet someone, you only get maybe 3 to 4 minutes before the next person has to jump in, and the next person in the queue and everything. But this is why I love doing online interviews, because you get to find out so much and things that you might not tell other people. And when I'm asking the question, you might think, "Oh, yeah, I remember that," and then come out with different stories.
Yeah, sure. You find new stuff. Yeah. When I did HorrorCon LA out here a couple of times, a couple of years, they invited me because of maxxxine, because of my role in maxxxine. They invited me out 2 years in a row, and it's wonderful. At the last one, I met these groups with a horror magazine, Signal magazine. It's a local horror focused, genre focused magazine, and a wonderful group of people from Raven's Eye Studio and. A guy named Don found me there, and they interviewed me, and I just had a blast. I think it was probably the most fun I had during the entire time at HorrorCon was the interview, because I got a chance to tell stories and meet new people, and these guys were wonderful, as are you.
Thank you so much. Right, doing theatre, do you like to choose a play and a story that connects with you the most?
Yes and no. As I mentioned, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a repertory theater company called Repertory Playhouse East, out in the Newhall, Valencia area out here in SoCal. And fortunately, I was with them for a very long time. And so I was often given the opportunity to say, hey, we're doing Amadeus. You want to do Salieri? Yes. Hey, we're doing Few Good Men. You want to do Jessup? Yes. Hey, we're doing Atticus. We're doing To Kill a Mockingbird. You want to play Atticus? So yes, there was that sense that I could choose some of the roles that I really wanted to explore. But sometimes it's just, there's a play that comes up and you're interested in doing, you audition and you get in. Family Business, I auditioned and got in, so. Cannibal, I had an in with the director.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's a couple of bonuses. Right, so moving on from the theatre to films.
Absolutely.
Did you find that? How did you find that transition?
Boy, that's a really good question, Ant. It was pretty easy, to be honest with you. I think an actor who has a significant amount of stage training and who's studied. I mean, I study my craft, and when actors, young actors, and to me, of course, at this stage of my life, everybody's a young actor. When young actors reach out to me about career advice, should I do this? What should I do? My answer is always the same. It's that: study your craft, do theater, do as much theater as you can do, study your craft, study film technique, study the various techniques, Stanislavski, Meisner, Michael Chekhov. Find out if you're an outside-in actor or an inside-out actor. Those things are crucial. So in making the transition to film was fairly easy because I'd taken a bunch of courses in, working with cameras, working on film. I had taken many different kinds of techniques to find out what kind of actor I am. By the way, I'm an outside-in actor, not an inside-out. For anyone who wonders about what that means, I can explain.
Yeah, please.
All right. So the inside-out actor is the classically referenced as Stanislavski, the method, Marlon Brando. Where you get all your motivations inside, and you find all your past histories and your psychological truths from inside, and you live in those moments, and then you bring them out to fulfill the character. That's an inside-out actor. Outside-in actor, more like the Michael Chekhov technique, which is you find physicalities outside. With Chekhov, it's about physical gestures becoming psychological gestures. So if I'm doing a character and he wants to point at someone, and point at him. But so I would work on the physical gesture, point it, and then I'd make it very large point. And then I would tie it to a psychological meaning. It would be, this is you're the blame. And then I'd bring it down so that the psychological feeling is still there. And when I point, go, it's you. So that's costumes and things that when I look at myself and I find the right costume and the right outfit and the right makeup and the right, just everything. And then I've got all my I've worked on the text with attaching it to physical skeletons. For me, that works outside and then comes inside to find the truths of the character's emotional state. Outside in.
Oh, that's something I didn't know. So I'm actually happy to, I'm learning on the spot as we go.
That's why I'm here. So yes, the transition to film was relatively easy, and I've been very fortunate. Film and television, I've been very, very fortunate to work in so many wonderful films and TV shows.
All right. Right. So in The Lurking Man, you played Death.
I played the Angel of Death, the seventh Archangel of Death, Sariel. Based on a wonderful series of books by a guy named Keith Rummel. Auditioned for it just out of the blues. The director had an open audition, and the writer and producer had open auditions. I auditioned. I liked the role immediately. I did one thing, and then they said, "Hey, would you take a look at this? Do another." I did another. It's a wonderful character, and it earned me probably my favorite award ever. Let's see if I can reach it without destroying my entire setup here. Yeah, almost knocked over my microphone. Really close. Here we go. That's this was for Lurking Man. It was the Lon Chaney Sr. Award for doing the most work through character makeup. And because it's a wonderful thing about that role is it allowed me to work through a physical makeup, this physical death, and I had these giant skeletal wings, and it just when you're an actor that's been given a mask to work through, it allows a different kind of freedom of play, and so it was a truly enjoyable project.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, with it being such a powerful character, like, how do you get into that kind of character?
I think it all starts with text, and the text was wonderful. You have to, I think, find the truth of a larger character. Even more importantly, you have to find the inner truth. And in this case, the character was written as a being who desperately needed to stop what he was doing. At the end of the film, he finally. It's not a horror film. It's more like a supernatural drama. It is about a woman, an alcoholic and abusive woman, and her behavior to her son is abusive, and it is about her path, and she finds herself dead in purgatory with the lurking man, this angel of death. And eventually you realize by the end of the film, what he wants to do is he wants her to replace him. He's done. He's been doing this for an eternity, and he's done, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. And so he makes her this bargain, and she accepts it. And to have that moment of truth where he just goes, thank you. Thank you. It allows the truth of humanity into a character larger than life. And it's what I liked about the writing of that character and performing of that character.
Right, so the film maxxxine is...
I knew you were going to get there. It's a fan favorite.
It is a fan favorite. Like, loads of people loved it. Who reached out to you to be in it?
Okay, well, first of all, let me just say right off the bat, Ty West is a brilliant director. He was wonderful to work with. He's brilliant. I had already known his work. I had seen a lot of his films. I'd seen The Innkeepers. I had seen Sacrament. I had seen X and Pearl. And each one of those films is so remarkable and so remarkably different in tone and texture, especially when you talk about the X trilogy. X was just a great grindhouse film, just talking about the era when porn and horror were coming into VHS. It was just, and it captured that era and that flavor brilliantly. Pearl is a masterpiece, just flat out masterpiece, and so very, very different from X in its tone and quality. So when my agent said, hey, this horror film they're doing, it's called maxxxine something. I said, maxxxine, is that the trilogy? She went, yeah. I said, yes, I want to audition for it. So you just do a self-tape, which is, thanks to COVID, most of what the auditions are these days are self-tapes from your home. So I did a self-tape, submitted it, worked on it a bit and submitted it. And I was immediately written back by the producer saying, is he available? And would he like to accept the role? And I went, yes. Oh, yes. And then the table read was amazing. The table read was amazing. I'm sitting at this, it's a massive table read, massive, huge. Producers, directors, writers, Ty West, the producer, all of the stars, Moses Sumney and Halsey, Kevin Bacon sitting across from me, Mia Goth sitting across from me.
Oh, wow.
To sit at this table. It's funny because this is during the era of COVID, and, entertainment was one of the things that was allowed to keep going through, even though there was COVID. So I'm, wearing a mask. I walk into this giant table read with everybody there, and I'm only person wearing a mask. And so I look around and I go, that's everybody, all the stars, all the producers, all the directors, Ty West, nobody's wearing a mask but me. All the smaller actors, nobody's wearing a mask but me. And I went, I'm the only AH here wearing a mask, aren't I? And the producer goes, whatever you're comfortable with, that's fine with us. I said, I am not going to be the only guy wearing a mask. No. So I took it off. 2 days later, I got COVID. The only time I ever. And it almost took me out of the film because I was testing then on a very, very regular basis, so that finally, thankfully, before the costume fitting, I tested negative, and so I was able to go do the costume fitting, and then shoot the film. And then it ended up being, it was supposed to be a 1-day shoot, ended up being a 2-day shoot. It was supposed to be a 3 or 4 hour gig. It ended up being 2 days of 16 hours each. So it was a great experience. Mia Goth and Elizabeth Debicki, both who I worked with, directly, were just astounding, just wonderful. The coverage, Ty used 5 or 6 cameras at the same time, so the coverage was intense. So you knew that no matter, you were constantly, there was no way you were not being captured on film every bit. So you had to be always in place, on scene, ready to go, know your work, know your stuff. And then Lily Collins was there. And Lily Collins, we weren't in a scene together. We were part of the same scene, but we weren't together, except that a lot of the times when we were off screen, it was just her and I sitting and chatting. She's a delight. And Ty, as I said, he's a wonderful director. This would be my last story about maxxxine, unless you want to hear more. But one of my favorite scenes at the end of the film is, I'm presuming everyone by this point has seen it, and if not, it's on HBO, Max HBO. You can catch it. It's there. It's a great film. See the whole trilogy if you haven't. It's amazing. So in the last shot where her head is on, her fake head is on the thing, and then there's a drone shot that comes out over and away from it, captures all of us standing there in the thing, and then goes outside, and then goes just broad. So I'm standing next to Ty where the giant drone is. And, they were very good about safety checks and making sure everybody understood them. This is the biggest drone I have ever seen. It was, I can't even tell you how large it was. It was huge. It was huge. And I turned to Ty, who happened to be standing. I said, "That is the largest drone I've ever seen." He said, "You think so?" Because the one we used yesterday was twice as big as this. And I went, "Wow."
God.
Yeah. Anyway, great guy. Gave me a wonderful piece of direction. And it was just a pleasure and to be on that set and working with those talents.
Oh,
getting to be 1 degree from Kevin Bacon. Got a chance to compliment him on his dialect work.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah, it was great.
Did you tell him that you worked on A Few Good Men while you were there?
I'm sorry. No, I did not. he was a very busy man. He had a lot of work, and I wasn't a huge part. I was a small part, but I was very happy to be there.
But you attended the premiere of Like Father, Like Son. What was that like, attending the premiere?
Well, that's a Lionsgate film. I think it's available to rent on Amazon and Apple, I think, with Dermot Mulroney. The interesting thing about that really wasn't the premiere. That was fine. The interesting thing about that was the character I played was a Yiddish-speaking rabbi. So I don't speak Yiddish. My dad happened to have been Yiddish and spoke fluent Yiddish, but I didn't take enough time. So timing-wise, Yiddish had just come out on that app, Duolingo. Yiddish had literally just been added. So I spent a great deal of time working on it because the character spoke, I think he had 2 words of English, but everything else was Yiddish. And so it was a great, and Hebrew, of course, for the prayers. And it was a wonderful character, a sweet, loving man. Matter of fact, originally they planned to kill him, the rabbi, it's about a serial killer, like father, like son. The father's a serial killer, the son is a serial killer, eventually. And they were going to do a kind of a mercy killing thing with the rabbi. But they ended up cutting it because they said, he's just too nice a guy. We don't want to kill him. So, but premieres, I'm glad you asked me about premieres. The one for maxxxine was probably my favorite premiere I've ever been to, red carpet. As a kid, very early on, like 11 or 12 years old, my father took me to see Fantastic Voyage at the Grauman's Chinese Theater. And they had a big red carpet thing there. And I thought, someday I'm going to be on a red carpet. And I played at a racquetball in the racquetball tournament. Medal back there, second place. I played a racquetball center near there, LA Fitness near there. And I was driving by one day and they were doing a red carpet for a Latino festival. Now, this is about, that's not too long before. But anyway, so I walk and I go, oh, God, someday I'm going to be on a red carpet. And then a week later, I got an invite. Hey, we're doing a red carpet premiere at the Chinese Theater. And so I got to attend a red carpet premiere at the Chinese Theater. That was one of the dream moments of my life, period. It was one of those steps on things that I want to do in my life that I went, I've done that now. Ty said the same thing, by the way. It was his first. He always wanted to do a red carpet premiere at the Chinese Theater, and this was his opportunity.
Full circle moment there.
Full circle moment, man. You tell me about
it. Finally, one more last question.
Sure.
You recently hit on it, like earlier on in the chat. Going to the horror-cons, like you did the horror-con earlier one. You must get such a like a buzz and excitement, like going to these things because you get to meet all the fans, you get to chat, you get to sign things and everything. Like, what's it like for you going to these things, like to meet the fans?
You know, you're 100% right. There's there's I love people. I love talking to people. I love people who come and talk to me. I love this. I love talking with you about theater and about film because it's my life and it's something I just love doing. I'm thrilled. I'm blessed to have the opportunities I've had in my life. So a chance to meet with people who just love the film, that I would have a chance to talk with them about the trilogy. I would have a chance to meet people who had actually seen Circle. It was surprisingly Circle it's a film that's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you can see it. If you haven't, it's a wonderful piece that I was fortunate enough to play a big role in. And I get people coming up to me all the time who've seen Circle. When I was playing racquetball a few months ago, a guy came up and said, "Were you in Circle? Were you the rich man? Were you the guy with the sweater?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." He said, "You were." Oh my God, I love that movie. So it's a real big cult hit. If you haven't seen it, cannot recommend it enough. It's really interesting. The guys who wrote it, Mario Missione and Aaron Han, wrote and directed it. I'd met them prior. They invited me out to be a guest star on the very last webisode series called The Vault, which also very good if you can find it. They invited me out to shoot a villain, and I did. And then they said, "We're doing this movie Circle. We think you'd be right for it, for the rich man." And I said, "Oh, well, send me the script." "Oh, well, you got to go through a casting director." I said, "Which casting director?" They told me the name. I said, "Oh, I've worked with her 3 times now. She knows me. My agent knows her. We'll set it up." I set up the audition. My agent sets it up with them. I go in, and Aaron Han, one of the writer, says, "What are you, Dan? What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, you told me you wanted me. I've been working on, the rich man. I thought you wanted me to." "Yeah, but we're not doing that this week. We're doing that next week." I went, "Oh, well, I told you I know the cast director. My agent knows the actor. She set it up for me. So I just came." He said, "You know what? Let's just do it." So he gets the script. We do it. Gives me an adjustment. I do it. And then, because I'd already worked with him and Mario, I was on social media with them so I could reach out and, text back to them. "Hey, what's going on? How's things going?" He went, "Okay, we did all of the other auditions for The Rich Man, and the producers and I all agree you are the only one. You are our rich man." I went, "Oh, that's fantastic." So then later on, when talking about how he's casting and how things are going, he says, "I got to tell you, we got to reach out from a fairly famous actress. I won't mention names, but anyway, she wants to play your role. She wants to play the rich man, make it a rich woman." And I said, "Oh God, yeah, that name is going to pull in a lot more than I ever would. Hire that actress, absolutely. Give her the role. Give me a bone. Throw me some other's role." And he went, "No, there's no way. You are absolutely our rich man. Nobody else. Will offer this other role if she takes it." Great, she did. And we ended up having just a great shoot. It's a wonderful film.
Oh, that's something I didn't know, but I'm glad to know.
It's one of those moments where somebody like that says something to you, you think it's pretty rare. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. You've answered all my questions.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about, or do you have to keep it time limited?
Yeah. I'll just keep it to this. I've literally you've answered every question I've got to ask you.
Well, great. I'll just tell you this really briefly, and you can edit it out or stop it.
Yeah, no, please.
I've also been really lucky to do television. I've had the ability to shoot, on all of them: ABC, NBC, CBS, Lifetime. Every one of those. Lionsgate, worked with Lionsgate. I have been able to do wonderful roles on television from when I was very young till recently. I just recently worked on the Goldbergs last season, which was fantastic. And I worked on this new show, Papa's House, with Damon Wayans Jr., who was just amazing. He's so good. And directed by Robert Townsend, who was just a fantastic director. So Television also I've been very fortunate about.
Oh, well, I'm glad you added that in there.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Thank you so much for coming on. It always means the world to me that people come on here and chat about the careers and everything. So, again, thank you so much.
And it has been just an absolute pleasure being here. Thanks so much for great questions.
And there we have it. That is the end of our live interview with the incredible Dan Lench. Thank you so much again for coming on. And thank you to everyone who has joined or who is going to watch in the future. As always, this is Dan Lench. I'm Antwood Movie Mania, and we will see you in the next one. See you later.
There you go.